Today, yes, it's us. We should introduce.
We should. I'll introduce us both. My name is Jada Nicole, and here we have Dr. Amber Roper, and we are chosen.
Featuring your mom too, man.
You can hear her? Oh my gosh. Y'all don't, I mean,
So loud.
there's no one here right now, but don't mind her if you hear in the background, there's a football game on. She's super into it.
Excited. She's
Yeah,
excited.
she's excited.
Yeah, so today we are going to talk about resolutions, goal setting, all the things. But before we talk about new goals, can we talk about what this year actually did to us? Like, what did 2025 have for us?
2025 was such a good year. So many unexpected things happened. For us specifically, there was Chosen. We did not expect to start Chosen. We did not expect to launch Chosen at all, but we did. It has an entire website. Hi. It has a whole website now. It's off the ground. We launched a Bible study experience, so both of us taught for the
Yes.
first time. It was amazing.
It was incredible. God had so much in store
Incredible.
for our 2025. We didn't even know.
Yes, we didn't. We didn't. So 2025 collectively has been so good. Oh my gosh. We should at some point tell them about the word study that we did. I don't know if that's a today thing, but
Well, I mean, a lot of people rush into resolutions without ever actually reflecting on how the year went. And that's how we end up repeating cycles. God doesn't rush seasons, so why do we?
yeah,
Right? Why do we find ourselves doing that?
for sure.
Um, for all the people in the chat, I want you guys to drop one word that describes your year. What
Hmm.
was your 2025 in one word? Drop it in the chat for us.
Yes.
But I mean, reflection matters spiritually too. Why do you think, Jada, that reflection is actually biblical?
Ooh, I think, that's a great question, actually. I think it's biblical for a lot of reasons. I think the first one being because reflection helps to posture your heart for gratitude, which is so, so, so important for our relationship with the Lord, our relationship with ourselves, even, just being able to look back and see where we've come from, what we've done, what's happened, what the Lord has done for us, how good he's been to us, and just all those types of things really helps us to one, stay focused, two, it's directional, because if you see what the Lord has been doing, then you can say, okay, Lord, what are you kind of gearing me up for? So I think, and you asked me why I think it's biblical. I think it's biblical for the same reason it is important for us to study history books. You have to know where you have come, what has taken place in order for you to know where you're going.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point. Girl, you better preach. You better say that.
Yes, girl.
I got a question. We have a question, but I'll take this one. What happens when we skip reflection and jump straight to goals?
Mm. I
Such a good question. You got it. You got it.
know you're so good. That I think that when we jump straight into goals, we just become these goal-oriented beings that we don't take the time. It's just like if I guess like somebody were to bring you a plate and you went straight to eating because you're so focused
Mm.
on the food that you don't pause to thank the person that brought you the food. It's just, for one, like it's rude, but for two, it doesn't. You just kind of zoom through life and you don't have time to pause and to just kind of see what's happening around you. When you reflect, oftentimes when you reflect on something, you notice all of the beauty and the details and all of the other things that went into
Yeah.
that one thing. And so I think that's just so important to keep us not just from like jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, and to just be able to pause and just, enjoy what's happening.
That's so good. I would agree with that too, especially the food analogy. That was a beautiful analogy. Because, I mean, how often do we just scarf down food without savoring
I
the
know.
flavors, the bites, stuff like that. It's kind of like that with life. And I feel like God reveals patterns before he releases direction. So it's good to, reflect on, okay, what patterns have I formed, whether it was autopilot or intentionally this year? Like, is what I'm doing, do I want to be in the same spot this time next year?
Yeah,
It's a big
that's good.
question.
That's good. And
Yeah.
I think if you don't reflect, a lot of times you can end up there and be
Yeah.
confused as to why you're just like, "Ah, I feel like I'm going in circles. I feel like I'm going in circles." Well, you're not really doing anything directional. And so there's nothing really you're kind of just walking in the way of the wind. So,
Right. Right. And
yes,
unstable in all your ways, right? If you don't have that path
exactly.
set out before you, the Bible says that God's people perish, or his people perish, because of a lack of knowledge. And so I feel like it's hey guys in the chat. Everything's
Hi.
blowing up. I love it.
Yes, hi everyone.
Reflection is not like dwelling on the past, or dwelling on your mistakes, or dwelling on anything. It's really just discerning, like, what steps did I take that got me to where I am now, and
Absolutely.
what steps do I want to repeat to get to where I want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I you asked me, why do I think reflection is biblical? What about like what do you think? Like what is your perception on it?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. I feel like that makes me think of a sermon that I heard, I don't know, like maybe 2 years ago now.
Mhm.
But it's one of those summers that you never forget, right? And so the pastor was talking about grief, and he used the scripture from Psalm, and it was a psalm of, I want to say, of David. I don't want to misquote, but it was a psalm. And he was saying, like, they were grieving Babylon, and they took a moment to think about everything that they had
Mhm.
just endured before continuing to move on to the next season of life.
Mhm.
And that's really good when it comes to grief, number one, but also when it comes to just life, taking a moment to reflect on everything you endured this year, 2025. I'm sure for every single person here had high highs and low lows.
Yeah.
And if you don't take a moment and kind of like reflect on that, take it back to the Lord and think,
Mhm.
okay, what were the highlights? What were the lessons I learned? Who grew me? What stretched me? What were those unexpected moments and surprises from this year? I
Course.
feel like it's so important to intentionally practice
Mhm.
reflecting, not only for gratitude purposes, but also for learning,
Mhm.
right? If you're not cognizant of what's happening, then life, like you said, just passes you by.
Absolutely. That's so good. And that made me think of like a lot of times so for this year for me specifically, I spent a lot of this year healing. And so like imagine healing throughout the year and not stopping to reflect on what you actually
Mhm.
healed from and you know, just taking some time to process that like it can really I don't want to say set you back. I don't know about set you back, but I think it could really just like have you walking around in circles.
Yeah.
Like I said because it just helps you to know where you're going, it helps you to
Mhm.
see and understand, and just process, like, different things don't trigger you anymore, different things don't bother you anymore. Why is
Yeah.
that? What did I heal from? That kind of thing. So I that's just what that made me think
Yes.
of. But that's so good. I definitely agree with you. I think it reflection is just so important for a multitude of reasons, but
Yes.
it's good.
Amen. Reflection brings clarity. I
Mhm.
think that's
Mhm.
like the sum of everything you just said.
Come on.
You gain clarity from looking back. What is it? Hindsight is 2020. Isn't that the saying?
Yes.
You see so much more clearly when you look back, and you
Mhm.
can't steward what you don't acknowledge. So if you don't even pause to acknowledge what the Lord has given you, whether that's relationships, friendships, passions, hobbies, jobs, whatever it is, if you don't acknowledge it, then how are you going to steward it?
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
So yeah, the next question that we got on this topic is, how do we reflect without beating ourselves up?
I that's a good question. I think the number one thing would be to just realize that when you're reflecting from a place that you've come from. And so, just knowing that even if there were areas where you were like, oh, I could have done such and such better, or
Right.
oh, that didn't go as well as I hoped, or I could have done XYZ better. Just knowing and understanding that you're on the other side of that, whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and that, you have the opportunity to make different new choices. The world didn't end because of that one, situation and scenario.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's a good way to do that. What do you think? I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
I mean, you answered that really well. I would just add that something important to remember from reflection is that you're not asking what's wrong with me. You're literally just asking, what did I learn? Like, what grew me? How did I heal? Like you said, like asking those questions that actually point you to learn something about yourself and not just sit in condemnation or shame. I
That's
think
good.
that's a really big difference.
Yeah, it is.
Right? This isn't a pity party of the year. This is
Right,
a what did I learn this
right.
year?
Even if it was the worst year ever, there is always something that could be learned. There's always a
Preach.
takeaway. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I definitely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people avoid reflection because it is uncomfortable at times. You have to sit and look at yourself in the mirror. Like,
Yeah.
how did I get here? What choices did I make that brought me here? And sometimes that's not always a good feeling, but
Yeah.
it's necessary so you don't repeat the
Mhm.
same decisions or mistakes or whatever it is, right? The
Sure.
definition of stupidity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. So
Expecting different results.
we're not trying to do that.
No.
Um, I think there's also a difference between a resolution. This is more like future focused too. I'm like shifting a little bit, but a difference between a resolution and then a God-led intention.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
It does. I
You
feel like
know?
I feel like we talked about that earlier too. Like that kind of goes into like a more broad topic of inviting the Lord into everything you do. And this is it's no different with this. When you invite the Lord into the because if you think about it, a lot of times what we do is we come up with an idea, we come up with a plan, and then we say, "Okay, God, bless this." And sometimes it has nothing to do with the plans, the path, anything that He has for us. And so we're asking Him to bless this thing and He's like, "Did you ask me?" Like
Right.
so when you do reflection like that, where you allow it to be, God led and not to just create something and then try to slap his stamp of approval on it. I think that's really important. And then um people always say like, well, no, not always, but there is a camp of people who believe like, oh, you don't want to dream too big and then be let down. Like you'd rather dream reasonable so that you can manage your expectations. Well, when you invite the Lord into it, you can
Yeah.
dream however he instructs you to, and normally he instructs you to dream big.
Come on now. My daddy owned all the cattle on the
All the
hill.
cattle on 1,000 hilltops.
That's a
So
scripture, guys. If you guys
yes,
ever deal with lack or anything like that, remember that.
yes.
Remember who you serve. Remember who your
Remember
dad is.
who your dad is. He
Yes.
owns it all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, that's I was done.
I was just gonna add to that, like most New Year's goals do fail by February. That's a scientific study,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if it's not a God-led intention, if it's not something that the Lord is leading you to do, what's really going to be your motivation? What's really going to be your strength on those hard days that gets you past February, past March, past April,
That's
right?
good.
So that's why alignment is so important with the
Mhm.
Lord, because then like you said, he blesses those steps you take and he orders those steps.
Yes.
And so if I'm like, oh, I'm going to go start a prison ministry this year, sure, my intentions are well.
Mhm.
However, that is not what the Lord has led me to do in this
Come on.
season. So more than likely, it would probably fail because I'm not graced for that in this moment,
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
good. That's
so
good.
and so yeah, I just feel like it's really important to be in alignment.
It is.
So
It is.
godly goals flow more so from identity as opposed to insecurity. And so
Mm.
that's just
You preaching, girl.
that's
You are preaching.
I mean, yeah, you don't set goals to become worthy, right?
Ooh.
You set goals because you already are worthy. And so when
Mhm.
your goal setting is flowing out of your identity, it is a very different race. It's a very different year than
Mhm.
if they are flowing out of, well, so and so has a
Ugh,
$2 million house, so I'm going to save up so that I can have it too. Mm-mm. No,
girl.
we're not doing that.
Oh my god, I feel like we should camp there because that is just that is the foundation for so many things in life. Like
Mhm.
honestly, like the number one thing, like you said, being double checking your motivation behind things. So like, do I want to do this because I'm feeling led to do this, or do I want to do this because I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses,
Ooh,
or because I want to be whatever. I want to do this.
right.
When in actuality the Lord has listed out all of these things that we already are. And so
Yeah.
we don't have to live up to some expectation. We don't have to live up to some manufactured idea of what and who we're supposed to be, allowing us to operate in purpose. So if the Lord
Yes.
says you're going to speak to the masses, you don't have to, well, I need to become worthy. No, you are. And
Yeah.
you can just function in that knowing that the Lord has called you to speak to the masses, and that's that. He's going to
Amen.
make it. If he's called you to it, he's going to bring you through it. He is going to provide the opportunities. He is going to provide any and everything. So I think, okay, so we read this book a couple years ago called God Talks.
Ooh,
Amazing book. Amazing book. I
and
highly
rush.
recommend it. Remind me of the author. Who's the
And
author?
rush.
Ed Rush.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Shout out Ed Rush. But we read a book called God Talks, and it essentially is, he lays out a foundation of, you setting aside intentional time to talk to God, and kind of like gives you like a guide. It's like a study guide of to how to practice doing it. And so like I feel like that's a good thing that we could incorporate in our goal setting, like sitting down and saying, even if it, and it doesn't have to be like in an afternoon, but like over the course of the next like couple weeks, well, yeah, you can do the next couple weeks, it's okay. But over the course of the next couple weeks, just being like, Lord, what do you see my 2026 looking like?
Yes.
What are some things that you would like what are some things you're laying on my heart to accomplish, do,
Yeah.
try, anything, like big or small. And I would challenge you when you do this not to discount anything. Like if you hear in your head, if you feel and you hear that the Lord is saying, "Hey, I want you to pick up roller skating." Just do it. Just
Absolutely.
try it. You don't know what is gonna become of it. "Hey, I want you to
Mm,
pick up archery." You have no
so
idea what
good.
is gonna become of it. You have no idea what the Lord is gonna do through it. Just be obedient and try
Yeah.
it.
Wait, I gotta speak to that because,
Come on.
like you said, you don't know what the Lord's going to do with it, but you don't know who the Lord is going to connect you
Come
to
on. Come on.
through your obedience, even if it's something that you feel like makes no sense. And what
Absolutely.
came to my head when you said like roller skating, okay, say, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go roller skating. Say I met my husband that night, go roller skating, or I met my best friend, or my ministry partner, my business partner. Whatever it is, you never know what the Lord has planned. And
Never.
He is such a mastermind
Mhm.
filled with intentionality and nothing but beauty and hope for your future that
Yes.
you shouldn't discount anything He tells you.
No,
You don't
not
know how it's going to play out.
you truly, truly don't. I have a story. I'm gonna tell it one day. I don't think today's the day. But I just know so many people's stories who are like that, where one of my really good friends that lives here, I met her earlier this year. We haven't even known each other a year yet. And she came to visit a friend here where we live. The Lord said, "I want you to move there." And that's what she did. And her life has changed dramatically since moving here, and just the connections that she's made, like
Yeah.
lifelong connections that she's made, and just so many other things. I've heard stories of God telling people to move places. They've met their husband. I've heard stories of people going to random Bible studies. The Lord was just like, try it out. Meet their husband, meet their best friend, meet their just so many things. Like you just never know how the Lord is going to use that. And he uses everything. You just
Everything.
never know. And sometimes all he's looking for, like he doesn't I'm not gonna say he doesn't care that, but he's not specific to you attending this particular event. He's looking for your obedience. He's
Yeah.
looking at, like it matters to him that you're doing things that you enjoy. Like,
Yep.
those types of things. Like there's like you're building trust, like you two are building trust with each other.
Yeah.
And so I think I think we got off on a tangent. A good one. But a good
It was
one.
a healthy, productive, beautiful tangent.
A good tangent.
A
But
tangent.
definitely, just to like, I guess like refocus a little bit. What are like I'm gonna go off script a little bit, but what
Okay, I
are
had something I wanted to say to that too, what you
okay,
said
okay, okay. Go
before.
ahead, go ahead, go
And
ahead.
then we'll get to the question. But what I was gonna say, because you said it's like partnering with God. And I
Mm,
was gonna park there for a second.
yeah.
Setting New Year's goals, resolutions, intentions, whatever you want to call it, is a partnership with God. Do not look at it as something that you have to pressure yourself
Mhm.
to do. Like, oh, I need to do this. I. Okay, all of that striving is only going to produce burnout. And
Yes.
then before you know it, your 2026 is looking like your 2025.
Come
And
on.
so, partnering with the Lord,
Yeah.
Father, what do you have for me this year? And don't even overwhelm yourself and be like, okay, the whole year, all 365 days. Let's start
Right.
with this month. Let's start with this
Yeah.
week. Let's start with today, this
Yeah.
moment. You wake up in the morning, Lord, what do you have for me today? And
Hmm.
He's faithful to speak. He speaks to His children. What kind of father wouldn't speak to his children?
Absolutely.
So, sorry, I just wanted to add that in there, but you can
No,
go
you're
ahead.
good. No, that's so good. That's so good. I love that. Like getting into the habit of daily asking, like, Lord, what do you have for me today? And every day you're not gonna get some deep philosophical, like, okay, first I want you to, and then next, like, some days it's gonna be as simple as just like enjoy the day, look around. Some days it's gonna be as simple as that. But like
Yeah,
when you're in the habit of doing that, then it's easy. One, it's easy to do. You don't have to think about it. Two,
exactly.
it's easy to hear, It's easier for you to hear because you're in the habit of listening for him and waiting for him to tell you.
Yeah.
And I like what you said too about striving. A lot of times we think like even if we sit down and the Lord gives us a set of goals and things that He has for us, I think it's important too to remember that that doesn't mean that He's like, okay, now go and whatever you need to do to make that happen, that's what I want you to do. Like
Yeah.
well, there has been so many times, and I'm this is something I learned this year. There have been so many times where He has given me like something that he's wanted me to do or something that he's going to do in my life, and then my next objective was to just sit and wait for him to do it.
Waiting seasons.
Waiting, man, baby, I could talk about waiting seasons.
Yeah, that's
We
so
both
real.
can. We both can
That's
speak to waiting seasons.
so real.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I just want to address the chat real quick too. Like, have you guys ever asked God what He wants to
Mm,
do in your next year? Like, is that part of your yearly ritual, yearly habit, whatever you want to call it? But, what if, just food for thought for 2026, what if the goal isn't more, 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 but what if the goal is deeper? Like,
mm,
what if the goal is God is going to take me deeper than I've ever been this year?
mhm.
As opposed to I'm gonna do more for God than I've ever done this year. Because if
Yeah.
God takes you deeper, the fruit is gonna come automatically. It's inevitable because of who you're connected to, the branch and the vine, right? But just shifting that focus, what does it look like to learn more about who the Lord is, his attributes, his personality traits, what makes him laugh, right? what
Uh,
what does he dream about? Like, what does it look like to build a relationship with the Lord that goes deeper, and then from that,
mhm.
seeing how he expands every other area of your life?
Absolutely.
That's like that upside down thinking that isn't the way of the world, but it's the way that works.
Yeah.
It's the way that works, the way of the Lord. So, sometimes God's goal, and I know you can speak to this too, so I'll give you some space, but sometimes God's goal is healing
Mm,
before building. And I
mm,
feel like that actually speaks to both of our years because the
very
words
true.
that the Lord gave us this year were very focused on intentional healing. I know for me
Yeah.
personally, the first half of this year was like intense, intentional healing. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you wanted to comment on that.
Can you ask the question one more time? I'm sorry.
It wasn't even really a question.
Oh. My
It
bad.
wasn't a question. I was just saying, like, God's goal can sometimes be healing before building.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, yeah, I definitely can speak to that. And I'll speak to like where I'm at now as well. But first, I'm gonna speak about the healing. As far as the healing before building, that is 125% his character and what he does.
Yeah.
Um, Simply because it's the same thing as when you go into battle. You need to prep. If you're gonna run a marathon, you train. You like it's preparation for you for the next season that the Lord wants to take you into. And so
Mhm.
healing is so important. I know that like we currently live in a world where healing is like trendy, but it truly is so very important because if you don't heal, you end up taking a lot of the things that whatever was going on, you end up taking them into your next season, and
Yeah.
that's why you heal before you enter into a new season.
Yeah,
And so
because sometimes you can't even enter a new season until you heal.
until you heal.
Sometimes you're praying for something and the Lord's like, I will give you that, but first let's heal.
Yeah.
Let's heal, you
Yeah.
know?
For sure. And two, this is another thing. When the Lord takes you through a healing season, again, it's not something that He's like, "Hey, I need you to do this, do this, do this, so you can heal."
Um,
It is Him just gently telling you, like, "Hey, we're gonna go through a healing season, okay? Hold my hand,
yes.
we'll get through it." And
Yes, totally.
before you know it, you're on the other side of it, and you're like, "Wow, I've healed from this, and I didn't do anything." That's the point. You
Yeah,
can't heal.
exactly.
Healing is a heart thing, and we are not in the business of changing hearts. God is.
Preach.
So we cannot heal ourselves. We cannot heal others. The Lord heals
Come
us.
on. Come on
But yeah,
now. That's a
yeah.
word. That's a word. Oh,
So
that's so
yeah,
good.
so that those healing seasons are so important, and I can speak to like where I'm at now. 2025 definitely for me, and I know for Amber as well. Definitely a year of healing. Definitely
Yeah.
a year of growth, of background. It was a behind the scenes
Yeah.
year for the both of us.
Facts.
And that's because, in the next season of life the Lord has for us, both of us are kind of sitting, we're kind of both in that moment. I'm going to stick with this with the theater reference, but we're kind of both in that moment where we're waiting for our scene to come and before it's time for us to enter onto the stage in that transitionary state. But the healing was so important, and it wasn't always fun. It wasn't always like cute. I know I said healing was trendy right now. It wasn't always cute. Like sometimes it was just like us being on the phone and just sitting there because that's all we could do today.
Yeah.
But other times it was, insightful where we were able to sit and process through what was going on
Amen.
and see the other side of that and see the light and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm on the other side of this." And so
So true.
it's good. I love that the Lord does that because when we don't heal before we enter into new seasons, like Amber said, sometimes we won't be able to enter it because
Yeah.
you just don't know, like, whatever there is for you, if it's people, you just don't know how you not healing can impact them. And so like I said, we can't heal ourselves, but I feel like we can definitely be stubborn in the process. And just kind of be like, no, I know healing is trying to take place, but I just won't do it. No. Um, and I think it's so important to just let it happen and to let it be and to let yourself feel and go through the process of that and go
Yeah.
through the emotions of it. Um, because you wanna be on the other side of it.
Yeah.
It will stop hurting, it's not forever, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes the enemy wants you to think that the healing, the hurt of it is gonna last forever and you're just gonna stay there, but it ends.
That's so good. So true. Guys, we do have to wrap up, but I did want to leave you guys with some practical reflection prompts that maybe you can incorporate into your own reflection time as you look over 2025 and move forward into setting goals for 2026. The first one is, what did this year teach me about myself?
Mm,
What did this year teach me about myself? What drained me? What gave me life?
mm,
Where did I see God show up unexpectedly? What patterns do I want to carry forward? And of course, what patterns need to end? Who was God to me this year? And
mm.
then, too, listening to that, ask yourself which question feels hardest for you right now.
That's good.
After hearing that, like which one brings up resistance or opposition? Normally, that's where something needs to be healed
Mm.
inside of you. Shameless plug for Holy and Whole, my seminar. You should totally check it out, amberroper.com for inner healing, all the things. But anyway, yeah, there's quite a few, but I'll just leave it with that for now. Um, I want to ask Jada, I think this would be a good question for us to close on.
Okay.
Who was God to us this year individually? Who was God to you this year? And then I'll share too, unless you want me to go first.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So immediately when I read that question, what I thought of was, to me, God was a shepherd this
Mm,
year. The shepherd of my soul. He led me to rest. He
mm,
taught me what resting in him practically looks like, as opposed to striving and trying to create my own outcomes and the pressure to perform to create the things I want to see. He
mhm,
taught me what it looks like to rely on him as my shepherd, um, because a shepherd is a protector, a guide, a comforter, right? A healer, all the things in one person. And so I really meditated on and walked through verse by verse, like line by line. He walked me through Psalm 23, and I'm still not done. But what I have learned thus far has been so comforting for my soul and so restorative and so refreshing, especially coming out of a place where I was feeling really burnt out.
yeah,
Like, especially on just the things that I was doing from the day to day, whether it was my job, whether it was friendships, whatever it was, just burnt out in every area.
mhm,
And he taught me that he is a shepherd and I can come to him and he will give me rest. And
good.
when you're living out of rest, when you're working out of rest, it is the most amazing thing to see. It's literally like the only way I can describe it is like going from seeing life in black and white to
Mm,
seeing it in full color.
come on. That's
That's
good.
literally like the best I can do with
That's so
describing
good.
it. So
That's so
that's who
good.
God was to me this year in 2025.
That's so good. I think kind of just like bouncing off of you. I think I like what when we brought up Psalm 23, like that very first line, "The Lord is my shepherd and best friend." He was my best friend this year. He truly was. I feel like this year I was able to experience his presence and just him totally in different ways, in new ways that I've never experienced before.
Mm,
Um, I learned how to converse with him as a friend, and to just take any and everything to him. I also think this year he was my protector and mainly the protector of my peace. And just I like what you said about
mm,
operating out of rest. He also showed me rest. And in that rest, I was able to, find peace in a lot of areas and, with people, with situations, things outside of my
mm.
control. He really just this year sat me down and said, "Hey, sometimes it's okay to just just let it be. Um, so I think that this year, like the overall, like the Lord was he was my friend this year.
Hmm. That's
Um,
so beautiful. Praise God. Can we just give it up for the Lord because he is so good.
so good.
So good. So guys, thanks for journeying with us in this
Yes,
conversation today. Just some closing encouragement to remember. Reflecting over this year is honoring your own personal journey, your own personal story, right? We're not sitting to just like bask in shame and condemnation. It's supposed to be something that's encouraging. um Goals don't create your identity. God has already done that. And to learn more about identity, definitely check out our ministry's website, chosenglobal.org. We have lots of resources and other videos that you can watch where we literally walk you through what it is like to have an identity from the Lord, like who you are, who God says you are, and how much you're loved by the maker of all.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, so the next year doesn't need a new version of you. It needs a more aligned version of you, and
Mhm.
everything else will flow from that. So thank you so much for watching.
Yes,
How can
thank
they
you.
connect with us, sis?
Uh, you guys can connect with us via social media. You can connect with us personally. And you can connect with us individually or as a ministry. My recommendation is if you visit our website and you find our founders page, you can find all of our social medias there. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of
All
the
things.
yes.
All the encouragement. Guys, we
Yes,
got you. We
yes, and
got you.
if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to send us a message via our website. Send us questions, send us ideas, anything that you have, and we might feature it here. So, thank you guys so much for joining us. We know that you could be doing anything. We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.